Have you ever felt that all Filipinos think that you are rich just because you are a foreigner? Well, you are not alone. In this episode, we will dive deeper into this theory or mindset of the Filipino. Derek says, I've married a Filipino province girl and I love her dearly, believe me on that. My question statement is, has anyone else experienced the problem of some Filipinos seem to think because you're a foreigner, you've got lots of money. I'm Australian and I have a decent, honest job that I enjoy, but I only make a modest income. Thanks for your opinions. I just want to know what others have experienced regarding this topic. Isaac says, minimum wage in Australia is 143,000 pesos per month. Minimum wage in the province is about 8,000 pesos per month. Depends on the region. So yes, you do have lots of money on a relative basis. Sure, that may be true statistically. However, do you ever stop and think of the cost of living in Australia? Just because this man makes over 140,000 pesos does not mean he gets to hold on to that money or spend it in the Philippines. That means he has to pay for his accommodation, his food, insurance, car, phone, internet, everything else in Australian dollars. He has to spend that, and in Australia, like many other Western countries, cost of living is high. So yes, perhaps when you do the conversion, it seems as though he's making a lot. However, his cost of living is extremely high. Many foreigners are actually in debt and they do not have much money. Robbie Bobby Charles says, sadly, some family members will run to you and your wife like bears running to honey, coming up with some kind of sad story. I've been married to my wife for almost 36 years and I love her and her family deeply, but you can only do so much and put up with so much. We've been retired here in the Philippines for almost 10 years, and when we first moved here, I thought it would be a great idea if we lived in the province where my wife is from. That lasted around 3 months. After that, I was begging my wife for us to move. Some of her family members thought our house was a free food buffet of some sort. When my wife and I would go to the store and buy food and supplies, some family members thought it was okay to just come over all the time and just help themselves to whatever they wanted. Or some family members would come over all the time with some sad story wanting financial help with something. My wife and I finally bought a house about 45 minutes to an hour away from her province, so we are far enough away from the family to not be bothered every day, but close enough to visit if we wanted to. Think of this. Imagine retiring and having to distance yourself from your wife's family because they are mooching off of you. How many more stories must we hear before we recognize that we are not anything else aside from an ATM? This person perhaps has a happy marriage since he met his partner over 36 years ago. Times are very different now. That's why many times men would say, well, my Filipina is different. We married decades ago. That's not the same anymore. Things are changing and they just want money. That has never changed. Chris Edwards says, yeah, they all think you are rich, like a king. Don't get caught up in guilt trap. Have a talk with her. Set up reasonable monthly budget and then stick to it 100%. Do not budge or else you'll be kicking yourself for the rest of time you are with her. That is an option. If you are buying your wife essentially and buying her love and companionship and she wants you to support her family, that is your business. However, you need to be aware of the expectations of Filipino people, their families, and when they come over asking for things, not to be blindsided. Don't allow these other YouTubers, vloggers in the Pinoy land tell you how their 30-year younger Filipino partner is in love with them for just their personality. That is not true. What they don't tell you behind the camera, behind the vlog, is how much money they are spending on her, her kids, and their families. The house that he's buying, the car that he's buying, the money that he is sending monthly to her family, that is something they do not share. At least most of the big YouTubers in the Philippines withholding that information from you. Steve says, I think us is common thought among Filipino. Your situation sounds very similar to mine. I have been with my girlfriend in a long distance relationship for 2 years. We are currently wiring the fiancé visa. I have supported her quite a bit. I was too generous at first and had to pull back my support some. It has been frustrating at times. Sometimes I feel taken for granted, but I also try to understand the mindset of my girlfriend. They live in survival mode every day. If their needs are met today, they don't seem to worry too much about tomorrow. God will provide. I'm not God, but I have been that provider. I do believe she will be my forever girl. If not, I have helped a bit raise a family out of poverty. I have helped with her daughter's nursing education. My advice from experience is to help what you can without destroying your financial future. That is hard when your heart is in love. For those of you like myself who wonder who are these men, who are these simps that are sending money to these Filipinos, who are the ones bankrolling their lifestyles with their Filipino boyfriends, it's men like this. Men like the last person I read the comment from. Men that think there are no relationship for 2 years while they support her and her child. He wants to date a single mother. How does he know the boyfriend or husband or the baby daddy is not around? He does not know. This guy is a fool, a complete simp, the proper definition of everything you don't want to be. How many other men do you think she has going on at the same time? Don't tell me that you video chat her 24 hours a day. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours is not enough in the Philippines because they have nothing but time. Regardless of how often you think you are communicating with her, I promise you, she'll find time for others. This is the type of person that ruins the relationship and dating game in the Philippines for regular men who want to visit and find the true love of their life or partners. You can no longer compete, so you are forced to buy her love like many others do, because now that's all they want. They don't need you for anything. Jerry says that is the most discussed topic on Facebook. Tell your wife and her family you are not an ATM for cash or bank for loans. Stick to it and they will get over it. John says all Filipinos think if someone can afford to travel to the Philippines, then that person is rich. The problem is that some of these tourists like the attention and feeling of elevated status, when in reality most could barely survive in their home countries. While there are some that are well off in their home countries, to me, if it comes down to the expats, they're seeking attention from Filipinos that have less than them, or are there for a more genuine, sincere reason. I told the Filipinos I wasn't rich, and I had to save money to get here. I treated Filipinos as equals, not as subservient, and I didn't project myself as Elon Musk rich. After my wife and I married, did she begin to see and realize my financial worth? Marry for love, not for false sense of wealth. Here is my advice to you. If you are marrying a Filipina person, do not lie to them regarding your finances. Let them know that you do not have lots of money and you only have money for you and her and your life together, not for her relatives, extended family, and others. If you want to help her family, set a budget and stick to it. If times get tough and emergencies, well, that's not your problem. You do not have any more to give. And lastly, do not disclose your financial situation to anyone. Now for our catfish of the day. How do you go from this to this? Remember, the catfish is not about the beauty of the first girl. It's about the difference in photos and how Filipina women like to use very old. It's about the difference between two photos. Which one are you actually going to meet? The best comment is from Gecko. Just hang out at any resort, restaurant, and observe the simple Western guys buying 10 plus people's meals and drinks, them being as close as possible to ignored. The party goes on in Tagalog or Bisaya. The guy is there to pay and to pose a few photos at the end. This is true. Once you pay, you are no longer wanted or desired. This is regarding our video of Filipino family doesn't appreciate me after everything I do for them. There is no worst comment of the day. Subscribe to the channel. Don't be lazy. Thanks for watching. God bless.